Okay, it's okay. It's called a permutation. We are going to do combinations probably tomorrow. So a permutation is something where order matters. So permutation, it is used when rearranging. Okay, used when rearranging the elements of a set. And a set just means group. So a permutation is used when you are rearranging elements of a set. Those could be people in competition for something. It could be numbers for a code. It could be a batting order if you're playing baseball. So permutations, those are sets of numbers where the order in which I pick those numbers matters. So permutation, the key with those is that the order matters. And tomorrow, when we talk about combinations, combinations are where order doesn't matter because you're just grouping things. So if the order makes a difference and changes the outcome, you would use the permutation function on your calculator. So the best example of a real-world permutation is a PIN number or a code. For example, if you have a 4-digit code that locks your phone, it matters that you put those numbers in a certain order or it's not going to unlock your phone. Or if you have a PIN number for your debit card, you can't just type in the 4 numbers at random. They have to be in a pattern. So that is a permutation. The order in which you type the code in will make a difference. Like when you log onto your computer, you have to properly spell your name. You can't use random letters in any order you want to. Okay, so a PIN number, a code, a password, that can all be permutations because the way that you type it makes a difference. You can't just put it in any order that you want. Another very common one is first place, second place, third place. So if we're doing a race, if you win first place, you want first place. You don't want the third place prize. So the order matters. Also, the similar one would be like gold and silver. So gold, silver, and bronze. That's like first, second, and third. Okay. And then the last one is anything involving a specific position like president, vice president.
Can't you also put is another example of Social Security?
Yes, your Social Security number, because that is your number. If you type it out of order, it's not you anymore. You're now stealing someone's identity. So, yes, anything involving numbers that have to be shown in a certain way, like if your grade's a 93, but I put 39, like that matters that I put those numbers in the right order. So any kind of specific position. An example could be like president and VP. Like if you were elected vice president, you don't want to randomly be given the title of presidency, like by accident, okay? So president, vice president, that is an order. Another one that we don't think about is batting order. So if you play baseball, you're in a certain order. Like you rotate people. You don't want to skip batting order, okay? So anything that involves order, it makes a difference the way you put it in, that's a permutation. So your phone is designed to have permutations in it. Like it recognizes, okay, this is the pattern you've chosen. You must stick to that pattern. Just like in Among Us where you have to pick the little colored boxes, I think. You have to put them in that order. It doesn't work. Same thing. It's a permutation. It doesn't have to be numbers, okay? There is a formula that your calculator does when you tell it to. So the formula, your calculator is going to look like this. Little n, capital P, little r. So the n and r will be subscripts. Okay? Your calculator, this is what it's going to be. Inside of the calculator, the equation is n factorial over n minus r factorial. So remember, a factorial is multiplying. A factorial is multiplying. For example, 5 factorial is the same thing as 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's what a factorial does. Your calculator does all of these things. Does all of them for you. It will type this in itself. The number n...
Pardon the interruption. Dr. Stigler, at your convenience, please report to the main office. Dr. Stigler, at your convenience, please report to the main office. Thank you.
She's not in the office. That's where her office is. I guess she's the wandering one. All right. N. N represents the total number of items to choose from. What that means is if you are typing in your phone code, you can only choose between 0 through 9. They're numbers only. Okay? N is how many options you have. The letter R represents how many you're actually going to pick. So it's the number of things or items to be selected. So if I'm coming up with a PIN number for my debit card, I have 10 numbers to pick through, 0 through 9. Okay? I only need to pick 4 of those numbers. So N would be 10, because I have that many options. And then R would be 4, because I'm only picking 4. Okay? In these problems, the value that you are picking for, N has to be greater than or equal to R. For example, I can't have 9 numbers to pick from and then pick 12 numbers. Like, I only have 9 numbers. So N must be greater than or equal to R. Okay, so in your formula, N is always represented by the total number of items you have to pick. So when you're typing this in, it's important to make sure you know which one goes where. And then R is represented by what you are picking. Your calculator does this formula for you. Okay, but it's important to at least have seen it in case the problem involves solving for a variable, in which case it might take a little bit of time. Okay? But as far as the difficulty level on the ACT, it's pretty basic. I've pulled some questions that reflect the permutation and combination. The hardest part is being able to tell when to use permutation and when to use combination after we learn it. So for the calculator steps, okay, I'm going to show you on the 84 plus first, and then I'll show you on the 83, because it's slightly different depending on the type of calculator you have. So the calculator steps, this is for the TI-84 or the 84 plus. It really just depends on what you have, okay? To get to these pieces, you press the math button and you go over to probability. Everything's kind of organized for you, probability. If we're working with permutation, we are going to select number 2. And now you've just got these blank boxes. So let's say I'm picking a PIN number. There are 10 numbers I could pick from, and I can only pick 4. And I can't have them repeat. Like, I cannot choose the number 2 twice. I have 5,040 different combinations. So yes, someone might have the same PIN number as you. Okay? And if you can repeat numbers, the odds of them having the same number is smaller because there's more options to pick from. So the way that you type these in, if you have the colored calculators or the 84, you go to math, you go over to probability, and you select option number 2, which looks like this. It's got the box, P, and looks like that. And then you will just type in, and then after this, type in N and R. Okay? So if you have, or if the app on your phone that you're using is an 84 plus or an 84, it's going to be a little different. If you're using one of these, so when you take your test, if you're here when you take it, not at home, you're going to need to know how to use this kind of calculator, which is a TI-83. or an 83 plus. These are a little different. In the TI-83s, you have to first type the N value. Okay, so step number 1 is you're going to type the value of N. So in that example, we chose 10. Then you go to math, over to probability, and select option 2. So it is still option 2. However, now you're going to type in the value of R. So the difference is, the way that these calculators look, the difference between these is that the newer ones will make it look like this versus the older ones, it's going to still have N and R, but it knows, okay, 10 is representing N and R is represented by 4. You still get the same answer, it just looks different. So on the newer calculators, you actually will type those numbers in versus the old, it'll still say N and R. So you're going to type the N value, you're going to go to math, probability on the older calculators, or PRB. You're still going to pick option number 2, which looks like this. And then you're going to type in R. So it's a little bit different, the pattern in which you do it. So you have to put the N value first, then you go in and pick permutation, then type R, versus the newer ones just let you type them in. Okay? So let's try an example. So how many ways can 4 people win first, second, and third? So we haven't necessarily learned combination yet, but you just have to ask yourself, does the order matter?
No.
I'm winning first, second, third. Does it matter if I win first place and I get third? Yeah. Like,
Yes, it does.
yeah, this matters. So right here, this is my clue that, hey, the order matters, which means I should be using permutation. When we learn combination, when they're all mixed in, it's important to analyze the question. Does the order matter? Yes, it does. So this lets you know, okay, we're using permutation. The value on the left is how many people are competing. So how many people are competing here? What's our N value?
4.
Yeah, there are 4 people. So right here, our N value is 4. How many people can win? 3 people can win. That is your R value, first, second, and third. So one person's going to be left out. Now you can just type it in your calculator. Your calculator does the formula for you. You don't have to do it. So depending on what calculator you have, follow your specific steps. Okay. If you have the app, it should tell you up to the top what kind of calculator you have. So I will use the older version. So I will go 4, math over to probability, pick option 2.
I got some weird ass.
Are you using,
I'm using something called Calculate 84.
okay, is it a TI-83 or something?
Or I think it's 84.
Yeah, if it's an 84, it's going to be a little different. You go to math
No,
first.
and like I put math.
Okay. So our answer is 24. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that here. Take a second and try the rest of them. And USB, I'll come help you. Let me pause this video real quick when I find my mouse.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, so on our next problem, it says there are 7 people at a swim meet. You want to know how many people can win gold, silver, bronze. Notice how it says no ties. That means that only one person is going to win gold, only one person silver. So there are 210 different possibilities of who could win first, second, third, or gold, silver, bronze. On our next one, it says 112 people bought raffle tickets. Only 3 names are going to be drawn for first prize, second prize, third prize. So there are 1,367,520 different ways people could win. So the odds of you winning are probably a little slim. All right, last one. You have a disc jockey. They are trying to play songs. They have 9 songs to pick from, but they can only play 3. And he is arranging these songs, which means he's putting them in a specific order. So there are 504 different ways they can pick the songs and put them in an order. Tomorrow, we are going to learn combinations, which is where order doesn't matter. Okay, and I personally think combinations are the harder ones to reason through because we like to give emotion to the problems, like picking friends to go to a concert. In math world, it won't matter if I ask you first or last. You'll just be happy that you're invited. Okay, so these kind of problems, combinations can be a little tricky, but that's what we're going to do tomorrow.